You see, something's going to happen.
What? What's going to happen?
Something wonderful.
What?
I understand how you feel. You see, it's all very clear to me now.
Welcome to the Occult Rejects. In this episode, we got Liza, the mad scientist, joining us tonight, and we got JJ Vance, my favorite garbage can dude. We got him joining us tonight, and we got the man himself. He's probably the most consistent, probably the longest running guest on the show. He's been on the most too for a guest. We got the man himself, William Ramsey. I'm sure everybody already knows who he is, but just in case, William, can you let everybody know what your deal is and where they can find your amazing work, please?
Yeah, I have a podcast with 130 episodes called William Ramsey Investigates, 5 books. You can find them on Amazon, and my 5 micro-budgeted documentaries are on my Patreon, William Ramsey Investigates.
Awesome. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. And real quick, JJ, would you like to plug your own show too as well, since you are joining us and you have a show?
Sure. Howdy, Nick. Appreciate it. Howdy, folks of the interwebs. JJ Vance, host of Operation GCD. Also not the vice president. Don't be confused. Yeah. Appreciate the invite. Looking forward to the conversation. Definitely check out Operation GCD live on Wednesday nights, 7 p.m. Eastern time, and Friday nights with the Occult Rejects in our Friday's conversation of conspiracy theory roundtable, 9 p.m. Eastern times, Friday nights.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Great to see you again, William. Looking forward to the conversation. Lisa, always looking forward to the conversation.
Yeah, it's good to be with all you guys again. Thanks.
Oh, yeah. And I know since you do have a lot of slides, William, I mean, I guess we can kind of get into it. So tonight we're kind of covering Knights Malta, and maybe Trump's administration seems to be involved with the Knights Malta. And William, what made you even get on this topic, or how did you even come across it?
Well, I was talking to Courtney Turner of her podcast, her show, and we did a show on the Pilgrim Society. And so that was kind of influential, kind of got bounced around the interwebs, and we were talking about the Knights of Malta. So we planned to do that. So I've done a show with her, and while researching it, I found it to be very interesting and a lot of interesting connections to people in the Trump administration that's going to start here in 2 days. So it's, I think it's important. It's not very well talked about. I don't know if anybody's even done a show on the Knights of Malta, but I think it's important. I think these guys take themselves seriously, and it's much like the Pilgrim Society in the sense that it's hard to find lists of people who are actually all members. So you kind of have to find bits and pieces of the membership here and there in the past, in the present. But this is an old order. This is not some kind of recent order like the Pilgrim Society, which started in 1902. This is something that goes back to the 11th century and claims to go back to the Crusaders. And the Knights of Malta, their full name is the Sovereign Military Hospitaller Order of St. John of Jerusalem. That St. John being St. John the Baptist, right? So they go all the way back, and they, much like the Pilgrim Society, maybe the City of London, where they have something based upon the Holy Sepulchre, these guys are kind of the same thing. And so they are part of the Catholic Church, like one of the Catholic orders, and operate under the Holy See, but there's something unique, and it's important to distinguish them from the Knights Templar. We might know about the Knights Templars, these bankers. This is a different order than the Knights of Templar, which was basically ended in Europe. I think it was Friday the 13th.
They both have had issues together and have both worked together, actually.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. I mean, they have similar interests. Yeah. They go back to the Crusades, but
they both patrolled the streets together, actually. Side by side, they actually patrolled the streets and the border after the First Crusades. And then they end up fighting each other later on.
Yeah. Not surprising. Yeah. Much like the kind of the Catholics and the Eastern Orthodox Church fighting each other, too, supposedly on the same team. But that schism was, 11th century, too. But this one they bounced from Jerusalem, got kicked out, then ended up in Cyprus, the island south of Turkey, then Rhodes, formerly a Greek island, then end up in the island kind of chain, small chain in the center, really the center of the Mediterranean, Malta, right, which is really 3 islands. I have a map of it in the slides. But they were famously kind of rejected. They were always fighting against the Muslims and the Ottoman Empire, and they had a famous siege in the 16th century. But this order currently, you can go to their website and see all their website. They have 13,500 members globally. And they're mostly, they claim, their external aim for the public is to kind of, be kind of medicine in certain places. I think they're actually in Gaza and in Lebanon and all kinds of places, doing good works. But there's also kind of a political and cultural element to them. And we'll see in these slides, and the research I've done goes all the way to the top of people surrounding Trump and in the Trump administration. At least the people that I know is really incredible. The ones that I don't know are pretty incredible. It could be more interesting. But I think it's kind of shows that this kind of old biblical element of going back to the Middle East and the Christian history, the 22,000 years since Christ, is still extant. And, I did a show about Trump at Mar-a-Lago. He had a fully gold, copy of the Ark of the Covenant. So he's and this has now traveled through Israel. So all these things that are happening in Israel with the Jews, non-Christians, there's still kind of this other Christian, I think a strong element going back to the Middle East, and the Knights of Malta are part of that.
So did you want me to pull up your slides at all? Or?
Yeah, that'd be great. Let's start with that. I mean, the history, I think, is fascinating. Like I said, they bounce from the 11th century to these different islands. Their motto is defense of the faith and assistance to the poor. They were known for like a knighthood. That's their symbol. So you'll see this Maltese cross. And it kind of actually interesting, pervades kind of the modern culture. If you've heard of this movie called The Maltese Falcon, it's kind of its basis is actually the Knights of Malta is its cultural basis. So the Maltese Falcon is this falcon that's all black, but there's supposed to be 2. What the Pope, I think it was the king, I can't remember his name, but the order was all they had to do to pay to maintain their order was to give 1 Maltese falcon to the king a year. So that was the symbolic kind of fealty. It wasn't a payment or money or anything. And that kind of turned into this famous film with a lot of great actors called The Maltese Falcon. We'll see that in the slides coming up. So it's centered in Malta. There is their own kind of center church, which you'll see, which is beautifully rendered. It's a beautiful, ornate church in Malta. Oh, it's King Charles V. That was the one who wanted the Maltese falcon, the actual falcon. It actually involves the Knights of Malta actually involve Napoleon, because Napoleon, on his way to Egypt, captured Malta in the center of the Mediterranean, like I said, and then they were expelled. And then they they went to Rome, the Maltese Knights, and then I think they went back to Malta. But you can see this kind of like orders, their colors and their orders pervade Western cultural European civilization is what I would say. They've always been around with different famous members and things like that. So these are kind of some of the lists that you'll see. Wild Bill Donovan, if you remember the OSS, the precursor to the CIA, Alan Dulles, infamous guy. Some of these archbishops, John McCone.
Was that Joe Rogan's name
was on there? Pardon me?
Is that Joe Rogan's name on there? No, I'm joking.
Ted Kennedy, the Kennedy father, Joe Kennedy, was a Knight of Malta. Frank Sinatra, interestingly.
Yeah.
Let's see who else is on there. Tip O'Neill, who was the Democratic Speaker of the House, if you remember him. I think he was from...
Ramsey, wasn't it that you had to have royal blood initially to be inducted into the Knights of Malta, and then it was changed when the Pope changed the Constitution here recently?
Yeah.
I don't know.
You think he changed it in 2020?
It wouldn't make sense. I wouldn't be surprised. But some of these people are not royal blood. I don't think Donovan is. So it had to. If that happened, it happened not in the recent centuries. James Jesus Angleton, right? So
sure,
master spy.
The who's who of the spooks and Skull and Bones crossover there, huh?
Yep. And then a lot of Buchanan, right? Pat Buchanan, huge. William Buckley, that's a Skull and Bones guy. Prescott Bush, the father of the Bush dynasty.
Heinrich
Another
Himmler?
Skull and Bones man. Casey, head of the CIA. Capra, interestingly, really famous American film director.
Sure.
It's a Wonderful Life, right? So it's not just, the kind of industrialists or Intel people. But I mean, Capra probably was Intel. I think during World War II, he was involved in propaganda films and stuff like that.
How does Himmler get himself on that list?
It's a good question. Like a lot of these guys, strangely enough, are on there as well. So they went into Germany as well. So I think that just the historical connection of Catholicism in Germany, a lot of these guys. So Galen, you'll see in the slides, if you remember the Galen kind of organization, there was a huge issue during World War II and post-war about kind of the Galen, because after the Cold War started, Galen was running all these agents in the Soviet Union.
Sure.
And so he was kind of integrated. Actually, there's pictures of that guy in the United States, which is incredible, as a high-ranking Nazi, but an associate of Dulles. So it's not really that clear. Iacocca was a huge industrialist here. Chrysler.
Oh, huge.
Yeah. J. Edgar Hoover, like that, his history is incredible, involved in so many American assassinations. And I think these guys, some of their critics have claimed that they're kind of LARPers, like they're playing around in costumes and
I've heard that.
They like all the regalia and all that stuff, but that might be true to a certain extent, but I think they're serious too. It's like saying a fraternity or a college fraternity is all just, external fun and stuff. Some of those guys take it very seriously. They take oaths.
Sure.
And you'll see here, like you probably know this, Nick, like they're making gestures that are that come out of these old orders into the occult of initiation and things like that. They make this cross the breast initiation.
Is that the
gestures.
Bonaparte that was the early predecessor to the FBI?
Yeah, Bonaparte, that's an interesting thing. A lot of people don't know this, but Napoleon Bonaparte's grandkid was involved in the late 19th century until in the U.S.
Right.
So I think that's him, Charles Joseph Bonaparte.
That's the Society of the Cincinnati representation there.
Yeah, Hague just overlaps Pilgrim. A lot of these guys are overlapped with the Pilgrim Society too, right? So Luz,
Sure.
Dulles.
Well,
So this
are you familiar with the?
I'm sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
I wasn't going to say anything. Just going to say like it overlaps with so many of the Pilgrim people and things like that.
Sure. No, I think your coverage on the Pilgrim Society was great. I looked after hearing your all's show there with Nick and Lisa here on the Occult Rejects. I looked into the origins of that. That was started by the Society of Cincinnati as well. A sender out of New York by the name of Chauncey Depew.
I'm not surprised. And I've heard since I've learned, I mean, it's unraveled to me. Like the first show I did was with Charlie Robinson of Macroaggressions, but I learned more since then. I didn't know that Tucker Carlson was a member. Like I didn't see the membership list. The membership lists are available in part. Now I've found them. Well, somebody found them for me, but they are on Michelle Chossudovsky's website. It's kind of a long name. I can't remember, but he's a great geopolitical researcher. Has been around a long time, professor in Canada. But very
influential group. Very influential.
Actually, I was trying to get to this Pilgrim Society. People have traced it back to these kind of like round table groups, right? Not Mackinder. What's the other guy's name with the M? In the 19th century, these kind of other geopolitical people, like they overlap. Like it's incredible. So the Pilgrim Society did, like you said, Society of Cincinnati. So I'm not surprised about that. But it didn't come out of whole cloth. It came out of 19th century British, empire.
Sure.
Thoughts and thinkers and stuff like that.
I think that's exactly right. You got the Astor family. You got a lot of these other very, Anglo.
Yes, Anglo-American establishment, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, so you see this organization. It's kind of Byzantine. It's not very clear. There's like a Grand Master Council. There's different offices and things like that, but it's under the pontiff. But they have kind of a strange, like they're allowed some kind of office under the Holy See, but it's kind of independent as well. But they also have a seat at the UN. So that's kind of very telling as well. So they have kind of a tie-in to the United Nations as well.
So are they kind of their own nation state in that regard? Because they all have their own passports too, right?
Yeah. So and they allow themselves, they can create their own passports. They are their kind of own nation state, is my understanding.
It's pretty wild.
Yeah. So it's very different. Like it's like its own kind of international organization with a lot of benefits and privileges that
Absolutely
they would say to a nation state, but they're not a nation state, right?
I think they were given a charter by the Pope as well. And then after they helped the King of Spain fight off the Muslims, that they were never going to be under anybody, or no king, no government would ever have any say over them.
I think that's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
In Rome, the order's headquarters became the magistral palace on Via di Condotti and the Via di Priorati di Malta on the Aventine Hill, both enjoying extraterritorial status granted by Italy. This arrangement underscores the order's continued recognition as a sovereign entity in international law, even without a territory, allowing it to issue passports, maintain diplomatic relations with over 100 countries, and have observer status at the United Nations.
That's a lot of diplomatic relations. That's nearly as much as the United States, or about half as much as the United States.
Yeah, no, it's incredible. I mean, I think that their reach is much, and you'll see this. You'll see the like attachments to Kenya, and I bet a lot of these guys are over Opus Dei, and like some of the crew.
Oh yeah,
and there's Headless Giant, full diplomatic.
That'd be an interesting crossover, right? The Knights of Malta and Opus Dei.
Yeah,
some very powerful Catholic organizations.
And you'll see the Steve Bannon, like these names will come up. Eric Prince, Steve Bannon.
Wow, okay.
Yeah. No, this is for real. So a lot of these guys are still around and all have connections to the Knights of Malta, and you'll see that in the research. So that's why, like I was telling Nick, like Trump 2024 and the Knights of Malta, like, is this the new Crusaders or what's going on? Like, what's the connection? Because there's a lot of connections. They're real.
Sure.
Bannon's a Catholic, my understanding. Like, it's not.
He's an interesting character. Office of Naval Intelligence.
And a lot of these guys overlap. So you'll see him and Eric Prince or Cambridge Analytica. They're both attached to. I mean, Prince is a Knight of Malta. He's a Knight. That's confirmed. But they're involved in all kinds of like scheming. And Prince and Pete Thiel are together. Thiel is looking for, he wants Maltese citizenship to add to his EU and American citizenship.
Sure.
So there's definitely connections there. There's definitely real connections, and people, Thiel's influence, goes through Vance and others, his whole.
Oh, big time.
Yeah. Musk. I think he and Musk are still buddies. They're part of the PayPal mafia.
That PayPal mafia. Yeah, sure. Yeah. Sure.
So this is Nick is showing the deed of donation of the island of Malta. So those are the three islands: Malta, Gozo, and Tripoli to the Order of St. John by Emperor Charles V in 1530. So that was the one with the agreement for the Maltese falcon, right? This payment, symbolic payment. This is one of the Maltese buildings in Malta. You'll see the prominent red on white Maltese cross. And this is lovingly created. Like, this isn't like some of the other Catholic churches are very impressive. And I would put this within that as well. So, let's see. New government meeting area for the Knights of Malta within the Grand Master's Palace being constructed. Some good research on X, Twitter, for the Maltese.
That's only a few weeks ago,
Malta,
correct? That picture?
Pardon?
That's only a few weeks old, right? That picture?
Yeah.
Somebody screaming in chat saying that they don't exist anymore.
Not in Malta don't exist?
Yeah.
No, they're absolutely 100% wrong. They're actually active and very much involved in a current event. So there's the Queen, right? Charles III, who's a member of the Knights of Malta and the Pilgrim Society. And she's got her prominent Maltese cross right there in front of your face. Cross is really, if you look on her sash too.
One of the if you go back real quick, one of the additions to this is the lion and the unicorn, and that is to symbolize what did we say it was? It was Scotland and England, the unification.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'll go to the next one. I think that's Elaine Maxwell, And she's with an ambassador to the nomination of Malta. So you see this kind of huge pedophile ring. Summers, Farkas, Malta, and the Knights of Malta has been central to Operation Gladio. So a lot of these guys are Gladio operatives, overlapping operatives. So a lot of CIA players and things like that. So. Go to the next one.
There we go.
It's that guy on the left look familiar?
Yeah.
So that's the South African, what's his face? What's his name?
Nelson Mandela.
Nelson Mandela, thank you. I forgot who the guy
I'm going to call him Morgan Freeman for a second.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Nelson Mandela, Knights of Malta. So a lot of
I did not know that. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Who's the fellow he's pictured there? Would you know? Is he like a major figure within the Knights of
No.
Just another knight?
I have to go back and look. So this is Philip de Villiers takes possession of the Isle of Malta, 1530. I think there's a falcon in there somewhere. No, I don't see it. There's a lot of history. I mean, it's very interesting history.
Oh yeah.
This guy Darren does a lot of great researcher online, Golden Nuggies. But it's like the overlap of the Pilgrim Society. He did that. The Anglo-American establishment, all these other different lodges. This is Le Cirque, right? So overlaps with a lot of these guys. And that's David Rockefeller there, second from the right. They're all fairly recent, like European integration, Otto von Habsburg, Knights of Malta, Opus Dei, came across Jean Violet and his idea of their mutual Opus Dei membership. So you see this overlapping of European integration by these guys. Pan-European movement. So like saying the Knights of Malta is some kind of dead letter is, I think, questionable. And there's Galen, and he's got his Knights of Maltese cross, or one of them. See him wearing his Vatican Knight of Malta medal for his service to the papacy. There he is.
Yeah, I mean, I know he's got a reputation, obviously, but not nearly as much as he should.
Yeah, I think in like the Intel world, people know about him, but
Sure.
I mean, there's a question about like he was infiltrating Russia, but how much of him was infiltrating the U.S.? Like Dulles was a known kind of German sympathizer. He was sympathetic to the German people and had all kinds of business ties and things like that. This is what the three islands of Malta look like from above. So the main island, Malta, then the like Comino and Gozo. It's really beautiful. Like there's all kinds of different castles and the blue waters of the Mediterranean. Hold on, just go back one sec. That's the fortress of St. John the Baptist, historic fortification located in Burgu, Malta. Played a significant role in the island's history, particularly during the period of the Knights Hospitaller who ruled Malta from 1530 to 1798, right? So 1798 was Napoleon Bonaparte. According to some legends, during the time of the Knights Hospitaller, the fortress was rumored to house the Holy Grail, the cup that Jesus used at the Last Supper. And you'll see ties of these Knights of Malta to Jerusalem, right? We'll see that in a minute. Mm. So they have their heritage back there. Look at how beautiful this is. Beautiful St. John's Co-Cathedral in Valletta, Malta. 400 tombstones of knights and officers of the Order of St. John of Jerusalem, same thing. Each tombstone is inlaid by a colored marble slab bearing crest, coat of arms, and epitaph of buried knight. Also holds Caravaggio's masterpiece, right? So one of the great Renaissance painters has a painting there. It's probably priceless. We'll see that. It's the Beheading of St. John, right? By Salome, is that right?
I think it's huge.
Yeah.
That's pretty wild.
Yeah. Is it tarot cards?
That's really a cool piece of history. It's like those other things, like the Sinclair place and the one church that's there in the city of London.
That's pretty wild.
So there's the so-called Star of David, whatever that means. 2 lions.
Yeah, 2 lions.
Is that what's going on in the corners? That's lions.
Well, there were 2 lions on the crest right up there. So.
Oh, okay. I see. What is that? Skull and crossbones in the corners.
Yeah, skull and crossbones. Yeah.
Yeah.
Latin.
Looks like an eclipse or the moon.
Oh wow.
At the bottom.
It sure does.
Oh yeah.
A lot of moons going on there.
So that's in the center. That's the Caravaggio. I forgot the name of it, but I don't even know what the 2 other paintings. But this is in this church there in Malta.
Wow.
It's the beheading, and John the Baptist is about to get beheaded.
It's a nice checkered floor, huh?
Yeah, interesting, huh? And you can see the Maltese cross, right, very prominent right there on the right, left-hand side, right? The Beheading of John the Baptist by Caravaggio. Yeah.
Mm.
This is by Titian. Uffizi is like the main kind of museum in Florence, right? The Uffizi. It holds some masterpieces as well, but there's a portrait of an unknown Knight of Malta from 1508 by Titian. You'll see the Maltese cross is like half of it's right there. You can see it on his chest.
Yeah.
It just shows kind of the history. Sammy Davis Jr., Maltese cross. Maltese. I mean, I don't know how he became a Knight of Malta, but
right.
a Satanist Knight of Malta. Who would have thought? Black guy.
Him and Sinatra both, I guess, right?
Pardon?
Him and Sinatra both, I guess. Huh?
Yeah, no, Sinatra.
He dabbled in the Satanism. You know, he wasn't.
I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised. But he was also kind of his civil rights sensibilities. He was like a very pro civil rights too. So he had a lot of African American friends.
Sure.
This is something they use for. I think this was something associated with the coronavirus, Maltese cross, and it's also used in some kind of like sci-fi vampire end of the world story. They use the Maltese cross in it too. So the symbols kind of permeated the culture to a certain extent. Yeah, this is neo-Catholics implementing Christian nationalism in America. It's just kind of about the Knights of Malta. Kissinger, Haig, Knight of Malta, strategy of tension associated with it. And they're all knights. So this is kind of the modern knighthood. So this is Patrick E. Kelly. So this is kind of an overlap kind of with the Catholic power structure because he's a Knight of Malta and also a Knight of Columbus. So that's another organization. But this is him becoming, I think, a Knight of Malta. Yeah, Patrick Kelly. So he's a big player in the Knights of Columbus, which is also huge. And their financial power is no joke. Like they have like a life insurance. Their life insurance policies they aggregate into the billions, you know. So all that money has to go somewhere. So he oversees that. So there it kind of gets confusing. There's all these different knighthoods, but you know, it's really something else. I'm trying to see. I had in my notes how much money the Knights of Columbus had. It's just something crazy.
And this fellow's an American, right?
Yeah, he's an American. That's him, Patrick Kelly. Their insurance program has grown into a Fortune 1000 company, offering life insurance, annuities, and other financial products to members and their families. So it's just an overlap between the Knights of Columbus, yeah. And I think that the Knights of Columbus has tons of members. I forgot what they were. Like there's tens of thousands of Knights of Columbus. So it's kind of like just showing the overlap. There's also the Knights of the Holy Sepulchre, which will come in. So there's all these modern knights that I think these guys, they're very serious about it. So this one was forgot this picture. These are just some medieval thing. You'll see the guys with the Maltese crosses. This is the current head. You can see he's initiated, right? He's got that hand sign across his chest. That means I'm initiated. You'll see Crowley make that. A lot of occultists make that. Yeah. But this is the current head. This is like the thing. His name is John Dunlap. He's from the States, or Canadian.
Sometimes they have
First
their thumb out.
First night from overseas.
I don't know if you ever noticed. Sometimes they stick their thumb up. That might make a difference too. I don't know what
Maybe
that
it
means.
does. I don't know.
Yeah.
So this is the first one who's not from Europe, huh?
I think so, yeah.
That's interesting.
And you saw the other Knights of Columbus guy get initiated in this same little kind of church as well.
Yeah.
It's the same pictures and all that stuff. And that's St. John the Baptist baptizing Jesus Christ right in the background.
Sure. He looks happy.
Dunlap or Jesus?
No, Dunlap here. He looks ecstatic to be. Yeah, no,
these guys are.
You don't see a lot of these guys smiling in their overlording pictures. You know what I mean?
Right.
He's got a little smirk going.
This is 2023, so fairly recently.
Sure.
Well, I would say that Knights Templar International may not be the same one, but I took this picture, or I included this because this is Dunlap. You can see the prominent Knight of Malta cross right there, the Maltese cross. Same kind of room, all these Maltese Knights, and Dunlap's there in the back left, excuse me. And then there's all these mimic orders, and it gets really they have the same problem. Kind of, I've done shows on these wandering bishops that pretend to be authentic Catholics. So I guess there's the same thing with Knights of Malta. There's these fake bodies and associations that are not unlike those that try to represent themselves but have no connection to them. So they have a problem with that too. And that's kind of goes back to like David Ferry, some of these other characters who couldn't get ordained, but they kind of became, wannabe Catholics, I guess is the way to put it. So there's wannabe Maltese things, probably wannabe Templars too, I suppose.
When I was in D.C., I was filming something, and I had noticed that there was an Order of St. John. I didn't even know what it was. I saw it on the door and filmed it anyway. I was like, oh, what the hell is this?
I wouldn't be surprised. It's probably one of the connections. Yeah, I wouldn't doubt it at all. Famous members, so I just put that in AI. So you see all these kind of like, big wigs, B-list.
Oh, that Dunlap was a prince.
Got princes.
What's he a prince of? What's Dunlap a prince of? Does that come with the position of the Knights of Malta being the head?
Well, I have a different PDF, a different set of slides of all these kind of like landed aristocratic people in Europe whose names may like Turn and Taxis and some of these other names that might be familiar with, but it just shows kind of like these are like the old, aristocracy of Europe are all very much involved in this. But I need to look into that more, Liza, to see how they, admitted people or how the mission changed. And they do have females, so they do kind of female, or they're not knights, but they're called dames, and so they're kind of in a different kind of organization, but they're considered members of the body, I think so.
I don't know when the Constitution was changed, but I do know that the fact that it did get changed came to be, or came, I guess, out in public with the controversy of Knights of Malta being in Myanmar and passing out condoms. And the Pope was completely against that. And so I believe he fired the top guy and was like, no, this is not happening. So it was a huge controversy back in 2017.
How recent was that?
2017.
Okay, because there's something happened within the last 10 years. Like this is the Knights of Malta in St. Peter's, right? St. Peter's Square. You'll see the distinctive obelisk in the back, but and the Knights of Maltese Cross. But there was some kind of thing where the Pope got involved. The current Pope, Bergoglio, got involved. Like they had to.
2020, you didn't have to be of royal bloodline anymore to join.
Okay, well, there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know that he did change, but besides that, I'm not sure.
The Pope changed that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because he's the overseer of Knights of Malta. He's the only one the Knights of Malta report to, right? Is that?
I think that's right. Yeah, I think that's right. But this is 2023, 900 years have elapsed since Pope Pascal II promulgated the solemn privilege that officially recognized the monastic community of the Hospitallers of St. John of Jerusalem.
Oh, boy.
Became a lay and religious order. It's this solemn privilege. So this was the thing that I remember is that he dissolved it. Pope dissolved the Knights of Malta leadership, issues new constitution. That was 2022.
Oh, so it's 2020, my bad.
That seems like a major shakeup.
Yeah, I think so. I have the article. I don't know if you guys want to read it, but you can see like these guys are there in authority. Like the whole squad has came out. If you go back, like there's probably 50 or 100 guys with all their Knights of Malta stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that this is not LARPing, in my opinion. This is just like any of the other Catholic orders at the very top. They're very serious. The Jesuits and all the other ones I can't remember.
The Opus Dei seem real serious about what they do. So
Yeah.
that crossover between them and the Knights of Malta seems unique.
In the United States, we're so, broken up of Protestants and Catholics and Jews and so many different people. You got to remember a lot of the rest of the world, South America, Mexico, so many people, it's Catholic Church and that's it. So you got to remember like Opus Dei and these orders have much more potency and authority maybe than we see in the United States, which is still there, still here, but interesting. So the Grand Master, right, kind of like a Magister Templi. Great Priory of Malta meeting 2023, so they're in all their regalia. Gathered at Freemasons Hall, London, for the annual chapter of the Great Priory of Malta. So interesting. There's the Pope, current Pope, Maltese Cross.
Look at that.
The Umbrella Corporation, I can't remember the name of the movie, but they kind of use that. Knights of Malta flow chart. Knights of Malta, this is kind of just an overview of the Knights of Malta. You can scan through this. The membership back then was 4,256. Today and their websites are very active. Like they upgrade their website. They have a lot of information on there. So they're not, I wouldn't call them a secret organization, but they clearly have kind of secretive stuff, but this is easy information to find out. It's just interesting. Nobody wants to really talk about them as much as they should.
I found interesting with them, they fell to Saladin, and in like the first, I think at least 3 initiations. I think that's about it. In the OTO, Saladin, pretty sure at least the first 2 maybe. Saladin is a character in the OTO initiations, yeah. Found that interesting. Wonder if there's anything to do with the history or whatever, that storyline.
This is interesting. This guy is part of the Heritage Foundation, the head of it for almost 50 years, Fulner, so a right-winger, and a Knight of Malta, and another knight. But you can move forward. Yeah, this is Darren again. Oh, so this is the tribute of this is telling the story of the Maltese Falcon. And then it ties into that movie, The Maltese Falcon. There it is. Humphrey Bogart, Mary Astor, Peter Lorre. Directed by John Huston. Like, these are kind of big names. Dashiell Hammett book. Same kind of cross, Maltese cross. There's a big kerfluffle about Seymour Hersh is still around. I mean, really one of the greatest journalists, American journalists of the recent time. But he wrote something during the Iraq War that involved the Knights of Malta, and they all got really angry. People got really angry because I think he used the word Crusaders and stuff like that. But they had to kind of explain a lot of stuff. So there's an article about it. I think this is from, yeah. So Hersh alleged that Stanley McChrystal, who headed JSOC, was a member of the Knights of Malta, and that within JSOC were either members or supporters of the Knights of Malta and also parts of Opus Dei, which would make perfect sense. Hersh described an attitude amongst a large percentage of the JSOC personnel as being anti-Muslim and driven by a crusader mentality. He quoted one individual saying, "We're going to change mosques into cathedrals. That's an attitude that pervades, I'm here to say, a large percentage of the Joint Special Operation Command, JSOC." So this speech kind of ruffled some feathers. And it was in Qatar. So he was in Qatar giving that speech, which was also interesting. So it's kind of like to an Arab audience. Here's like RT, Eric Prince, right, the head of Blackwater, which has undergone all these different permutations. They change their names every 2 years, which I think is telling, is a signal. But talking about the Knight of Malta tradition, he followed under Bill Donovan, so he's keeping on this tradition. And we'll see Eric Prince pops up in the attempt to kill Trump in July of 2024, right? So he shows up as like this independent commission, congressional commission investigating the attempt to kill Trump. So he's definitely in that orbit of the Trump administration. This is another list. Prince, Blackwater, Paul Behrens, Rohrabacher, he's like worked under Rohrabacher or Blackwater. Schmitz, Murdoch, Casey, we know. Hag, Donovan, Leonard Leo, who we'll come to later, Federal Society, Opus Dei, installed 5, very much involved in the Supreme Court, Knight of Malta. So a lot of those conservative judges can be traced to this guy, Leonard Leo, who I would say the general American public has no idea who he is. I didn't really know who he is, for that matter. Franz von Papen, Jimmy Savile, Knight of Malta. That's pretty disturbing.
Yeah.
So anyway, the guy on the far right here looks very familiar. I don't know who he is, but I feel like I've seen his face before. Looks like an American. Anyway, this is also looks like St. Peter's and this huge squad of Knights of Malta coming in. So this is, see the initiation hand sign right there? He's got it across his belly or something. This is the guy Burke, who's friends with Bannon. So Bannon knows the Knights of Malta stuff. He probably never talks. I bet in his show he never talks about them. I'm pretty sure he's a Christian, but I don't think he ever talks about the Knights of Malta. If you go to the next one. So they started this thing together, Bannon and this guy Burke, called Dignitatis Humanae Institute in Italy. And I think they had a falling out. The group has ties to some of the most conservative factions inside the Catholic Church. In 2014, the Institute invited Steve Bannon as one of its keynote speakers at a conference to discuss poverty, during which he praised European far-right parties. In 2019, Reuters reported that Bannon had helped the Institute craft curricula. Cardinal Raymond Burke, that was the earlier picture, president of the Institute's board of advisors, said that Bannon would play a leading role in the Institute, helping in the defense of what I forgot. This is from Wikipedia. It just shows the connect. Bannon knows this stuff. And then you see the British royal family. Okay, so this is another one. Alina Habba, right? She is like in there. Like she is his attorney. Her dad is a chancellor of the American chapter of the Knights of Malta. And she's going to be in the administration.
Yeah, she was on TV a lot with him for court.
Yeah. So she is the, what is the one? Conway. What was the woman who was always on TV with Trump in in 2016 to 2020.
Kellyanne Conway.
Thank you, Kellyanne Conway. She's basically taking her position. So this will be the spokesperson, the public face of Trump, whose daddy, we'll see the pictures here. Dad is a full-on Knights of Malta commander, like a title. Hey, spiritual. Yeah, so Alina Habba's parents, Jinan Habba and Saad F. Habba, they are Chaldean Catholics, so Catholics from the Middle East. This is 2023. There they are together, right? This is what? What's today? The 17th. This is 4 days ago. Alina Habba and Kellyanne Conway together. Offspring of the Knights of Malta. There's her daddy getting some kind of benefit at the Knights of Malta. Incredible. That's his name. Third from the top. Tagoni Dempsey and Saad F. Habba. He's an MD. He's a gastroenterologist, I think. And then he's a GCMOB. Whatever that means. But that's the American Association. So he's involved in the American Association.
Aren't most of them physicians? Is that?
It makes sense, right? Because they're supposed to be like healers and, you know, servants to the poor, medical servants to the poor and things like that. They do a lot of good works. Like, I'm not like, I don't come at this kind of like, there's dark elements. It's just like, so it's a secret group that doesn't really advertise itself, but has more power, especially if you can talk to the Pope. Like, it's not a joke. Like, some of these Catholics get real serious. The Catholic Church, you know. Anyway, this is Habba with the next FBI, head of the FBI right here, right? Kash Patel. So she's got some people's ear, right? I think these are all fairly recent pictures. There's prints at the Trump assassination hearing. This is August 2024. He's there with Bongino and some other characters. So he did expert analysis, but this guy's founder of Blackwater and big player in the Iraq War and stuff like that.
He's in tight with Trump because Trump's his sister was served in the first Trump administration, Betsy DeVos.
Oh, his sister's DeVos. That's right. They're like the huge Amway family, right?
Big billionaire family.
Yeah, wow, wild. Yeah, so, and these guys are over. This guy, Sean Ryan, is incredible. Like, this is like part of this theme that's not part of the show, but a lot of big connected guys with like intel background have moved into the alternate media with authority, like within a year. And that guy, Sean Ryan, is one of them. Like, where the heck did you get? Right. And then they had very suspicious guests saying very suspicious things that, I mean, in alternate media, like you should like really sit up in your chair, because like Ryan had this woman on ex-CIA or whatever. If you doubt the 9/11 story, you're a traitor. Like, nobody at the brain believes the 9/11 story. So they're trying to like enforce kind of thought modification, which you got to be careful. I mean, it's going to get, the alternate media is in trouble.
It's ruined.
That's a whole other story.
It's going to be horrible.
It's calling it under attack, I think, would be correct. They really do.
Well, I think it has been for probably at least like
they're going to discredit it. They're going to go after people's reps. They're going to try to just undermine everything and try to take it over and make it more state-centered. There's no question about it. This is back in 2011. I went through all that stuff. So the Knights of the Holy Sepulchre. It's another order. 30,000 knights and 60 lieutenancies around the world. So these are not like small organizations. These are serious groups, like a lot of power.
Knights of the Holy Sepulchre and the Knights of Malta are the only order that can wear their insignia on the outside of their coat of arms in terms of like a secret order.
Interesting. So there's Fulner again, and I think he goes, where is it? Heritage Foundation, Reagan, President Citizens Medal for leader of the, and then if you go to the next one, he's like a member of like all these things. Yeah, there he is. He served as the chairman of the Intercollegiate Studies Institute and president of the Mont Pelerin Society and the Philadelphia Society, which he's a distinguished member. Board of Visitors on the Pepperdine University. He is a Knight of Malta and a Knight of the Holy Sepulchre.
Man is busy.
Yeah.
Right.
This is Cardinal Dolan. This is fairly recent too. This guy's like, when they have all these kind of like meetings with the Catholic Church in New York City, this guy always shows up. But he was talking about the Knights of Malta. It's a video. I have the video somewhere, but I just thought it was interesting because he's talking about it recently. So this is Oliver North, Knight of Malta. If anybody has a member list of the Knight of Malta, send it to me, email it to me, williamramseyinvestigates@gmail.com. I couldn't find one online, but Google is just a joke. Pete Hegseth, right? This guy just went through the nomination process, and this is not a known Knight of Malta. I'm suspecting he is, but he also has this cross of Jerusalem on his right, chest.
Did you ever hear like his situation with like how he got with like the woman he's with now at Fox?
I think he has a pretty vivid sex life. That's what I heard.
It's like, oh, I thought you were a conservative though, and you act like that.
I think that's kind of a Maltese cross. You can take it or leave it. I don't know, but it's there on the bottom right-hand side. He's an interesting guy. He's actually, he has a decent academic. I mean, he has good academic credentials. I think he went to Princeton.
The funny thing is like if there was a politician that had the same background as him, they wouldn't shut the hell up about it on Fox. They'd go on and on and on about it, but it's okay with this guy.
Right. So Fox won't cover it, but some of his enemies will, right? Is that what you're saying?
It's just...
This is John Roberts. This is the head of the Supreme Court of the United States, kind of installed by Bush, which was kind of unusual. Usually it's an internal kind of decision or who's been there longer, but they basically confirmed him and made him head of the Supreme Court. He's going into a Knights of Malta place somewhere in Italy, I think. So This is Alan West, a known kind of right-wing conservative commentator, African-American, but he also is happily a member of the Knights. Took an oath to protect Christians in the Holy Land, 2022. So I don't know what kind of cross that is. It's a different cross, but I think he has a military background too.
Didn't he run for presidency or governor?
It's something that sounds right.
I think he ran for governor here in Texas, but I think he tried to make a bid for presidency. I'm not sure.
It's just Knights of Malta had a small air force. The one that had extraterritoriality over 2 buildings in Rome because Napoleon kicked them off their Malta 200 years ago. Yeah, Jerusalem Cross. There it is. So that actually ties into the death of Jimmy Carter, whose casket was in that chapel on top of the King of Jerusalem Royal Coat of Arms. Right, same cross, Godfrey de Bouillon. So, and that kind of that was like a total vampires ball of total freaks at his death. Like other than Trump, which is another question, but they brought on. I got friends in low places. What's his freaking name? That artist. Yeah, there it is.
Garth Brooks.
Yeah.
Garth Brooks is singing this song. Guys.
Yeah.
You cannot. I have to do a show on it, but your mind is gonna just be blown out because he's involved in the SFK stuff. Have you seen my stuff on Garth Brooks and SFK?
Get out of here.
No.
That'll be our next show.
Nice.
I'm really interested in
John
that
Lennon's one. Whatever song, which is
communist propaganda song.
Yeah, profane. They shouldn't even be talking to church. None of those people should be in that church, really. Obama, right. Bush, the Clintons, Gore. They should all be. They shouldn't have been involved. They shouldn't even be within 100 feet of a Christian church. People knew that. I don't know what these people. He just kind of boggles the mind. They're all so evil, and the body count of the Clintons is off the charts. Anyway, so there's the cross. I'm just saying, I try to include that just to show that these symbols and the regalia of this that goes back into the past for centuries is still present. just like the Knights of Malta, just like this Cross of Jerusalem. So I tried to AI the public list of members of the Knights of Malta, and they came up with nothing, which is, it's a telling thing because a lot of these AIs are not accurate. You can't get accurate information from these bones. This is a recent article from January 8th, 2025, celebrating 850 years of the Order of Malta in Ireland. So it just shows the international character of this group. And you'll see, oh, sorry, go back just one second. Go back. If you look at that picture, you can barely see it on the right-hand side. This is in Ireland, but you'll see the Maltese cross right there on the kind of window frame. Sorry. This guy was an ambassador, Knights of Malta.
Oh, William, you're muted right now.
Sorry, I'm talking. I was just going to say,
Do you want me to go
Prince
back?
is friends with Teal, who's on the steering committee of the Bilderberg Group, which has a bunch of members who are also Knights of Malta. So I'm trying to like impart like these overlapping secret. Bilderberg Group isn't that secret, but these overlapping groups of elites and some of these other characters and what they do. So Teal funded Facebook, and Eric Prince, Cambridge Analytica.
Mm-hmm.
So, this is Caroline Orr Bueno talking about Cambridge Analytica and Eric Prince, which Cambridge Analytica is also attached with Bannon, right? So Bannon and Prince, there's a nexus between Bannon, Prince, Teal, Vance. Yeah, it's a core.
Yeah.
Peter Thiel, major U.S. political donor, is said to pursue Maltese citizenship, so he wants that. Sale of passports generated more than $800 million for Malta between 2014 and 2020. Notorious mercenary Eric Prince is advising Trump from the shadows and always probably has been. 2017, Scahill's a pretty well-known journalist for The Intercept. Club of Rome. This is, I forgot why I had this in here. Trudeau just quit. This is Douglas Fairbanks, really well-known actor. He was a member of the Knights of Malta. He has that strange cross on his chest, if you see it. But he's well-known. He's kind of fell out of favor, but there's a really good movie, a known movie called Gunga Din. I don't know if you remember that, but he was in it. But here he is at a Knights of Malta ball in Palm Beach, where Trump is, right? That's Sir Douglas Fairbanks. There he is in his Knights of Malta regalia. I don't know who the guy on the left of him is. And here he is with Nancy Reagan and Grace Kelly, right? And then you overlapping stuff. He was a honorary knighthood of the British Empire and the Order of St. John of Jerusalem. So you see these overlapping knighthoods or whatever. This is Prince Edward, right? He was passed over 1933, but at the Welsh Priory. So you see him in kind of the Welsh section of the Order of St. John, Cardiff City Hall. So that's in Wales. But, you know, very prominent Knight of Malta cross. There's Rose Kennedy, right? The mother, the patriarch of the Kennedy squad with Cardinal Baum. Palm Beach. And then more attachments to the city of London. This Clerkenwell Priory was part of the Knights of Malta, which is down. You can actually walk through it. Like it's now inner London, known as St. John's Wood. That's it right there. Everything's grown up. They have a museum to the Knights of Malta in London. So it's not a joke. You see the prominent kind of Knights of Maltese cross here. on the upper right, upper left. History of the Order, Wellcome Trust, really notorious kind of intel connected, Charles III connected group with the COVID. Yeah, really, it gets pretty dark, but they support this stuff. And this is in Jerusalem. So this is part of the Via Dolorosa, right? So Christ suffered and had to carry the cross, right, to his death.
Is this the one that they started in that place? The St. John's Hospitals or whatever? Did they start in Jerusalem?
I think the Knights of Malta started in Jerusalem, but I think they still have a spot in Jerusalem. And this is it. This is obviously German, I think.
Yeah, before they became the Malta, they were whatever, those hospitators or whatever. And I think they started
in the same name. They just go by the same name. They're the hospital. I mean, it was supposed to be like a protective order, like the Templars.
Yeah, it was like a military order.
Like a military order helping pilgrims.
Yeah.
Like that was the thing. Pilgrimages to Jerusalem. Still today, Christians still go to the Holy Land. Like I have friends who've been there so many times for religious reasons, you know. But there it is, Via Dolorosa. This is I think pre-modern Israel, excuse me. Yeah, Via Dolorosa, the path that Jesus took, forced by the Roman soldiers on the way to his crucifixion. And this is just some of the elites, which we can go into the kind of the other PDF that I sent you, but Beatrix and all this stuff. This is Holland, Bernard of the Netherlands. Invested monastery. There was a monastery of St. John. This I think is in London. It was dissolved by Henry VIII after he took over. He absolved all the Catholic stuff. He's a piece of work. I forgot who this is. I think this is actually the father of Alina Hobbes got this highest designation. So I think Hobbes's dad is the Grand Cross of the Order of Malta. So he's like bigwig. And this is Trump saying this December 2024, Alina Hobbes. Named the Chaldean Woman of the Year. This is just like
St. Joseph the Builder Company?
Yeah. This is some kind of connection to the Knights of Malta. I forgot what it was.
What does Chaldean of the Year mean? Is that Israeli Christian of the Year or something?
I think Chaldea is in the Middle East, and that they're Chaldean Catholics. So I think that must be their ethnic kind of designation. I don't think it's like an ancient designation precedes these kind of modern nation states in the Middle East.
Sure.
And this is Leo. This is another Knight of Malta. He's very much involved in the legal profession and the Federalist Society, but very much involved in getting conservatives onto the Supreme Court. Kind of one of those more behind the scenes player. I don't think he's that far behind, but he's a big admirer and supporter of Opus Dei, Knight of Malta. These are fairly recent, 2023. This is the Grand Master of the Knight of Malta meeting the president in Kenya. So you'll see these guys are doing political. Like I think we talked about the Pilgrim Society, right? The public and private diplomacy. This is the private diplomacy, I think. Uhuru knighted to the Order of St. John for service 2022. It's the president of thing. Knights Templar were religious militants. This is a guy from Africa. The Ark of the Covenant. And then these guys apparently fought wars about the Ark of the Covenant back in the day in Africa that nobody in the West knows about. It's a whole kind of another show. But I just it's part of the theme is these kind of ancient symbols and things like that. Artifacts. Still important.
What do you think Trump's fascination with the Ark of the Covenant is there, William?
I think it's a good question. I think that he's interested in kind of the old stuff. I think he knows a lot about the occult.
Sure.
But I think that
I wouldn't really think of him as a Christian, right? Like that's not like
he's
the
not
first
an
thing that comes to
overt.
my mind.
You cannot say that. I don't think that's accurate because he doesn't ever profess faith or mention biblical things or say that his statement of faith, I believe Jesus is the Messiah or something, or just profess his. Maybe that's part of his kind of deception, or like you don't know what he's thinking, but he doesn't.
Very veiled on that.
Yeah. You don't see him in churches unless there's somebody's passed away.
Sure.
So much like Carter passing away. So it is an open question. I think when he walked out, like they burned down the church during one of their riots, the left-wing riots near the White House, he held the Bible like it was a prop, like he didn't open it to read something, like it was a relevant quote. So
he didn't look comfortable. Holding
no, he did not. He does not. So I think it's I don't think that he is, but the interest of the Ark of the Covenant may just be kind of the same kind of interest why we're doing this show, is these connections to these old kind of groups and symbols and things going back to the Holy Land. But this is a list. I found this famous fix list: Knights of Malta, Sinatra, Miles Davis, Joseph P. Kennedy, right? So
Miles Davis.
Some of these I don't. Richard Harrison, known actor. Mussolini, right? So he's an unknown. Joey DeMaio, bass player for heavy metal band Man of War. Jimmy Savile, Lombardi, Vincent Lombardi, famous football coach. Perone, right? Savile, Bloomingdale, and then a lot of like landed gentry type or elites in Europe. Franz Joseph I of Austria. Turn in Taxis, right? That's a well-known name. Valéry Giscard d'Estaing, president of France, 74-81. Buckley, we know Buckley. Santorum, Grand Duke Michel of Russia, youngest brother of Nicholas II, Francois Mitterrand, King Philippe of the Belgians. So you just see like all these elites from all these other European countries. Karl von Habsburg, right? Bourbon and Parma, Princes of Naples. These are all the kind of old families. Belgium, Luxembourg. Llewellyn Guthrie, I don't even know where he's from. British Army. Albert, Duke of Anjou. Umberto II of Italy. Romania. Belgium, Anthony Zinni, right? He was the military guy. Commander-in-Chief of the United States Central Command. Buchanan, Haig, Giulio Andreotti, Prime Minister Barluzzi, Leopold. Tredegar, interesting. I think it's either him or somebody he knew, but this guy was a full-on Crowley lover. You ever hear about the story of Tredegar?
No.
Yeah, that's another one. I'll have to look that back up, but he was a associate or follower of Crowley. Very dark kind of character. There's Galen. Saxe-Coburg-Gotha, right? That's the actual original name of the Windsor family. They changed it during World War I because it was too Germanic, so they adopted this.
Yes.
They anglicized their last name. Maximilian of Mexico, that was the guy that was the French installed him over in Mexico. Didn't last very long.
It seems like that was a trend, is to install these Knights of Malta into these high-ranking levels of position in Latin America.
I believe it. I think you're right. And you'll see there's another PDF I have of like these guys starting wars. Like, oh, there's all these wars that start, and all of a sudden you find out, hey, this guy's a Knight of Malta. Holy smokes. Chateaubriand, he's making the secret hand sign gesture. Secret hand. Schlieffen, the Schlieffen Plan was World War I. Plan to encircle France didn't really work. Russia, Austria, Brazil. So the international and quality caliber, right? last monarch of the Empire of Brazil. Naples, Albert I, Belgium. There's Caravaggio, right? He did the painting of St. John. Mel Martinez. Konrad Adenauer, head of Germany.
I haven't heard of any of these people.
Yeah. Well, these are the elites, right?
Yeah.
These are the kind of
some strange houses of royalty here, though. For
hereditary monarchists and those types of people. Yeah.
Look at that.
Liechtenstein,
sure.
I know they said that the House of Bourbon and the House of Orange is represented a lot in the Knights of Malta.
I believe it.
U.S. Navy guy.
Yeah.
Watkins.
Admiral.
Oh, Watkins.
Oh, Prince Philippe, Duke of Orleans, huh? He was involved, huh?
Orleanist claimant to the throne of France. There's the head. Andrew Bertie was a prince and grand master of the Sovereign Military Order of Malta from 1988 to 2008. Prince of Belgium, James Jesus Angleton. Anthony Radziwill.
Bill Cash.
Spellman, famous American bishop, Catholic. O'Connor, Leopold III. Wild Bill Donovan, Papen, right? German. Vice Chancellor under Adolf Hitler till he got canned.
Oh, wow.
Hitler canned him, yeah. He was lucky to make it out. Like Hitler had a lot of his political enemies just put to death. I don't know why Von Papen survived the Night of the Long Knives, but he did.
I think one of the fascinating things that Nick and I found out about the Knights of Malta is that they have their own stamp.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I wonder if we can find it.
I mean, how do you pull off some crap like that? You have your own stamp.
I mean, you don't even have a PO address, but
Wow.
you got a stamp.
Yeah.
Did we go through all of the slides, the first slides, or was that it?
Yeah. Yeah. Unless you go into the other ones, the wall ones.
I feel like there was more slides, but I could be wrong. Let me go back. Went through that. Let me go through. No, that was it. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, I actually was surprised how quick you went through those.
do you want to pull up that other PDF I sent you of like the war?
Yes.
The war guys, because then you'll kind of see maybe these guys aren't as clean as they look. Like they have a nice public figure.
Just give me a second to find where that down.
So William, it seems like this is a long-going affair here in America with the influence of the Knights of Malta and Opus Dei.
I think so.
Government. Yeah.
I think so. I think you'll find a lot of these guys, a lot of Catholic power in DC for better or worse.
Sure.
A lot of these guys are Opus Dei. Some of the traitors, I mean, Hansen, the FBI agent, was Opus Dei, still betrayed the country.
Yep.
So I bet
Pete
Colby was
Buttigieg's
probably
uncle, I believe, was the Knight of Malta.
Who was that?
Pete Buttigieg.
Right. So there you go.
Yeah.
So I think it's just an interesting aspect, and you'll see it. Oh yeah, this is it. Engineers of War, Knights of Malta. I think it's important too. The Trump administration, you have a lot of players in or around that are known Knights of Malta or Knights of Malta adjacent. Bannon, Prince, and Alina Habas is definitely. She might be a Knight of Malta on the, that's been allowed in for the females, right, or the women. That wouldn't surprise me at all if her dad's a bigwig. It's just not public yet. That's my guess. So those are the ones that are known too. So, but yeah, this is if you scroll through here, there's just so many names. Like we already went through a lot of these names, but you just see all these old landed aristocrats. These are the people who started like World War I to kill off all the, underlings and send them off to the trenches. It just goes on and on.
This guy?
Grandmaster Prince. Who's this? Giacomo Bella Sanguinetto. Grand Hospitaller, French noble, right? So these guys have noble titles and things like that. Esterhazy di Galantha, that's Austro-Hungarian. This is kind of like Eyes Wide Shut type people, like people with, manors, estates, all that stuff. German noble, House of Aragon, these are all big names. Brazilian royal family. Some of these guys flat out have the Knight of Malta like cross on. Prince Luis of Orleans Braganza, other Brazilian royal family. Hohenzollern, Prussian. Juan Carlos of Spain, right? He's the king, former king, or he's there with the Knights of Malta Cross. Andrew Bertie, we saw earlier, was from the House of Stuart. So these are old line kind of families. Pallavicini's global wealth managers. Just crazy amount of wealth. Like this is where all the wealth is that's associated with the Knights of Malta.
I think that they mentioned that initially when Knights of Malta formed, that most of its members were donating most of their land to the order. Kind of like
Makes
what
sense.
Nick, you had said about the OTO, that once you get to a certain level, you have to start donating. That's how they made their money. And then conversely, because the Knights Templar were also occurring at the same time, Knights Templar were doing the whole banking thing. That's how they were making their money, as well as the pirating and all that other stuff, because Knights of Malta had the whole pirate fleet that they were good at.
Here's the Habsburg family, right? So George and Karl von Habsburg, Knights of Malta. Roman Catholic imperial nobility, titles of the former Holy Roman Empire. Served imperial royal bloodlines like Hohenzollerns, Wittelsbachs, and Hesses. These are all big names, all big German. Germans, Austrians, Hungarians, Italians, French, Spanish, all involved in the Knights of Malta.
As a covert commander.
So this guy. There's the Knights of Malta. They're all wearing the Maltese cross on a very prominent display. It's almost like the most important element of all their regalia, actually, is the Maltese cross right in the center of their chest, right? This is Albani. I don't know who he is. Prince Pedro, 5 Spanish military orders, member of the Spanish Royal Guard, House of Bourbon. Prince Mariano Hugo.
Prince Anton. I don't know how to say that name. Austrian Imperial Noble.
That's the Hungarian faction from the Knights of Malta. There's this
Nicholas something.
Looks Greece. Looks Greek.
Greeks, yeah. The Greek royal family, the House of Glucksburg, oversee factions of the Sovereign Knights of Malta's Maritime Division. And they work with various merchant marine families which work with the Greek mafia and are involved with human trafficking and human sacrifice. Nice.
Was that the Onassis family?
Yeah, there's Boykin. So Boykin is a Knight of Malta. He was a very aggressive guy. So Undersecretary of Defense for Intelligence under George Walker Bush. Like these are names. These are people that aren't publicized. You just never don't know some of these guys. You don't see them in the standard newspaper, that's for sure. Sforza, Roman nobility heavily involved in military, banking, and mafia and connected with numerous billionaires. Rispoli family, a banker family in Siena since the 1300s. That makes perfect sense. Kind of like the Medicis.
Tony Ressler, Jewish billionaire. From Jesuit
Purchased the criminal mercenary group Blackwater, right? So this is probably the owner of Blackwater, one of its incarnations. There's Prince Harry wearing his Maltese cross. I don't think King Charles III is your daddy, bro. You don't look like him at all.
I don't think so either. I think he was the bodyguard of Diana.
They had you look into their relationship, it was bad from the beginning.
Yeah.
I think it's weird too. King Charles III, he's the king and he chose that woman, whatever her name is. Just whoa, you chose her over Princess Diana. I don't know. On looks alone, you got to wonder. I don't know what her personality's like, but
yeah.
Charles III is strange.
Is there anything?
Anyway, that's about it, guys. I don't know if I have much more than that. There's probably more to story. I would keep your eye out for Knights of Malta. If anybody out there finds other members or anything in this administration or any other information, please email me because I'm definitely compiling information. And I don't really have I guess if I was going to say something sinister or underhanded about them, it would just be that they're tied to these old aristocratic bloodline families that I don't trust at all. So I think that would be it. But I think externally they're external mission of healing the sick and attachment to Jerusalem. I wouldn't say that that's where I would find a problem with it. But I think that it's they're like the Pilgrim Society, where they're probably engaged in all kinds of private diplomacy. That the public diplomacy is really just a kind of a facade that's playing out things that they've made a decision internally. So I would say, but
I think if you were playing chess, the Knights of Malta placed their people on the chessboard very strategically.
I would agree with that 100%.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's very well said.
JJ, you want to add anything? Are you good?
No, it's great presentation, William. I appreciate it. Definitely learned a lot. I knew very little about the Knights of Malta going into here. It seems they have their grips in American intelligence, so that's for damn certain. And I tend to agree with the original concepts of America, at least 11 out of the 13 colonies who did not like the Vatican's interest in America. And that tends to be my point here in 2025 still.
Yeah, what were the original Catholic colonies? It was Maryland and
in Pennsylvania. Those damn Quakers would allow anything up there.
Yeah, those. I'm not going to get over it. I'm not going to get over it. Yeah, it is interesting. I think, and I don't think they're LARPing. They think the critique is
no.
People make fun of them. Is all the regalia, but I think they're very serious. I think they look to the Holy Land, and I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of these guys are secret, kind of sympathetic to the state of Israel, and are involved in it's really what's going on in the Middle East. So,
oh, thank you, Ramsey. That was a hell of a lot of stuff there. So I really appreciate it. And I love the slides. Always appreciate the slides. Yes.
It's a little bit of history too. It's not just kind of the modern kind of connection, but Malta makes me want to go to Malta and check out some of those old churches and see. Apparently, everybody I've known who's gone there said it's amazing. Good food and a cool place. But yeah, keep an eye out, guys.
Awesome. You want to remind everybody where they can find you and all your stuff?
Yeah, it's William Ramsey Investigates podcast. You can find it iTunes or Spotify. My website. I post a lot on Twitter X, and then I have 5 books on Amazon. And thanks a lot for your time. Thanks for having me back on. It's great to talk with you guys again.
Of course. And JJ, would you like to let everybody know where they can find you, your work as well?
Thanks again for the invite, Nick, Lisa, William. Always a great conversation. Folks, the interwebs, JJ Vance, not the vice president, host of Operation GCD. I'm sure Nick will have my link tree in the show notes.
Yeah, if it's not, I will add it. And Lisa, thank you very much for coming on as well. I appreciate it. Always appreciate your contribution as well. And everybody in the chat, thank you very much for jumping in and joining us. That's what's up. I had a good time, and that's why I go live. Yeah, that's the end of another Occult Rejects. And until the next one, everybody be well. Later.